Hey everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of a double feature. This week we've been taking a look at a separation, being that it is Foreign Film Week. So hopefully you had a chance to check that out. If not, be sure to go to your local library or online somewhere and check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. And if you haven't headed over to our website and checked out our reviews yet, do so now. But I'm going to assume that you've done all that, so let's start the conversation. So, Derek, my first question for you, I got to ask, who do you think the daughter picked to live with and why?
Oh.
I know.
Yeah. If I was to guess, if I was the daughter, how about that?
Okay.
I think she would pick her mom.
Really?
Yeah. I think because, as was pointed out in the film, the entire reason that she stayed with her father in the first place was to get mom back into the house.
Okay.
And when, and throughout the entire film, she just keeps trying to get her dad to get mom back in. So all of her actions seem to be aimed at getting mom back into her life.
Okay.
But those ultimately end up being futile every step of the way. And add that onto, she knows that her father, at least to some degree, is morally compromised. And once she starts following down that road, it starts ripping her up. She can't handle the decisions that he's sort of forcing her to make. And so I think for all of that, she'd pick mom.
Okay. See, now, I would have gone with dad.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I picked dad was very similar to what you just said. You know, I thought that she's seeing the dad make all these decisions and morally compromising himself. But I took that as a reflection of, not only is there sort of this implication that he is dealing with all these moral issues, and whether he's making good choices or not, the director never answers for us. We are left to that decision ourselves. But I almost wonder if she's sort of seeing the reality of the world she lives in. She's having this coming of age story where she's learning that this is a very sticky situation, and I don't know who's right or wrong, and I'm going to lie for my dad in court, but I don't know, and my parents, I don't know, and so she's so confused. But I think at the end, at least this was, of course, the wishful thinking of Thane Clark, because the director was so kind enough to not answer the questions. But I thought, okay, maybe there was, at the end, she realizes the world is messy and it's sticky and it's full of problems and it's full of choices, but I'm going to stick with my dad for better or for worse.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's the beauty of the film, is the director, as you said in your review, so meticulously and beautifully sets up this film in a way where not only is nothing answered, but he gives you all the details and all the information so that you can then in turn make the decision.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved that about the film from start to finish. It's definitely played out this way.
Yeah.
You were saying that Farhadi, is that how we pronounce the director's name?
Yeah, I have no idea.
We got to learn Iranian.
I know, right? Okay, next Iranian foreign film we do, we'll take a little Iranian course.
All right. That Farhadi never judges these people. They're just presented as these complex people, and we sympathize with every single one of them. But at the same time, and this is why I think the movie is so genius, even though the movie never judged it, it's very, very clear right from the first shot that we are to sit in judgment over these people's lives, as we literally are seeing this from the eyes of the judge in the opening scene. And
absolutely.
It's such a prolonged shot that it sort of just entrenches us to say we have to judge these people, up all the way until the ending, when it's complete silence. When the last voice heard again is the judge, and it's again us seeing this through the judge's perspective. So bringing it full circle, which means, we have to say how this is going to play out. And I thought that was great, because that's what makes, I think, moral commitment so hard. Because on the one hand, we have to keep our respect for these people, but on the other hand, we are still required to pass judgment on them and their actions.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. That opening scene, I felt like dragged on a little bit, but as the film progressed, I started to understand the brilliance behind that opening and closing scene, because I was like, oh, I get it. And I totally guessed it. I was like, they're not going to tell me who she picks. They're not going to tell me. And then the credits started to roll, because there was that moment, where they're sitting there, they're separated by the pain, and I'm like, okay, maybe she's going to come out and she's going to look at the parent, and then I'll know which one. And I was like, maybe. And then the credits rolled, and I was like, oh, why do you hate me? So.
No closure. No closure at all.
Yeah. Another thing, though, that I really, really loved, and I also wanted your feedback on this, the fact that he really never used music.
Oh, yeah.
He never used music to give us that emotional attachment to any character. Because I feel like, especially there are movies where, like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I feel like Peter Jackson uses music to get us emotionally attached to his characters.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And whereas in this film, not at all. I mean, he really was just so cutthroat with us. Farhadi, or anyways, he was just so cutthroat with us and was like, no, I'm not going to give you any sympathy. I'm not going to give you any emotional attachment to these people. Literally, I'm just going to give you the data. I'm going to give you the evidence. You got to decide. And I found that extremely frustrating, but also extremely liberating, which is a weird thing to feel there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I loved that, because I think it's an extension of what I started writing about in my review, how this really is a film, not even of separation, but ultimate isolation. And without music there to help show us how these characters are relating to each other, we become just as frustrated as any and all of the characters as they're trying to make these choices. But at the same time, I think there's that great power there, because every single character had that moment where we see them break down. And they just can't handle this situation anymore. And we see that, there's no music to sway judgment, but we have that human empathy that's connecting us with these characters in extremely powerful ways. I think the nature of the film and the plot had there had been music, I think it would have become dangerously close to a soap opera.
You're right. You're right.
Just because these lives are so intertwined, so complex, that it could have cheapened it in a way that would not have been pretty.
Yeah. No, and speaking of that, I don't know if you felt this way, but as the credits were rolling, I had this moment where I was like, I wonder if I'm not supposed to judge because, just like you said, the life is just so intertwined, and just every decision one person made affected everybody. And so I almost thought, gosh, I wonder if this is sort of a don't judge other people because life is just messy and it's not about judging others. It's just about learning to work in these relationships and understand one another and put ourselves in other people's shoes and then sort of deal with relationships on that level and not this superficial, you did this to me, so I'm going to do this to you.
Yeah.
Sort of a eye for an eye philosophy.
Sure.
I don't know. Did you feel that at all? I don't know. Maybe that was just me, but.
No, not really, because, on the one hand, like I was saying earlier, I think that the movie sort of gives us that moral imperative that we have to judge.
Right. Right.
But you're right. For one, I have to say I'm one of those people, I never sit through credits. Even if I know there's sort of a teaser trailer at the very end of the credits to get me ready for sequel, I still will not stay through the credits. That's probably a horrible admission on my part.
What?
Because I don't find them interesting at all.
You're on the blacklist. You're on the blacklist.
Yeah.
We are going to get so many hate fans now.
I'm sorry. Because I can go find the teaser trailer on the internet the next day anyway, so meh.
All right, touche.
But I watched these credits.
Interesting.
I didn't understand a single thing that was going on the screen. It was all in Arabic. And they didn't translate any of it.
You didn't understand the scribbles?
No. But I guess I was just so invested on just watching those two characters. I think part of me was waiting for one of them to slip up and storm and make my decision easier.
Right.
But they didn't. They didn't crack at all. They were just simply waiting, refusing to talk to each other. They were in that separation. And I think to have that credits roll over that was a sort of a stamp of finality, as if to say their relationship really is over. Don't even think that they're going to get back together, because it's not going to happen. The credits have rolled.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
I mean, I talked to a few people around here, told them about what movie we were going to be watching, and I was met with blank stares. I don't recall it being released in theaters here in America, and yet it went straight to the Academy Awards. But I mean, that's nothing new for foreign films in America.
Right.
And with that said, maybe this is where we just plug everybody needs to go and watch this on DVD, Blu-ray. I don't even know if it's out on Blu-ray, DVD.
Yeah, I couldn't find it on Blu-ray. I just found it on DVD. But agreed, yes. When we say watch good movies, this is the kind of movie we're talking about. So go watch this movie. Okay, well, that brings our discussion to a close today, but we want to know what you think. This film is loaded with tons of great questions, tons of moral dilemmas, and so we want to know what you think. Who do you think the daughter ended up choosing? What did you think about the film's moral dilemmas? Do you think it had any social dilemmas? And what were your final judgments of the characters by the end of the film? So please comment in the comment section below, or head over to our website and add your comments there. We would love to hear from you. As always, you can find all of our social media links, and you can stay up to date on all that we're up to in the notes section below. And until next week, watch good movies.